Welcome to the latest edition of the 941 Sports Zone, episode 17. We crowned a bunch of state champions, including one from the 941.
Yes.
We'll talk about that, college football. Mendoza wins the Heisman. The playoffs start this week, and I'm trying to get excited, John. We'll talk about that. And the NFL just delivers and delivers and delivers. It's pretty unbelievable. Your team did something yesterday that I thought was really weird. We'll get into that as well.
Well, they did even something a little weirder. They fired their defensive coordinator today.
That was the weird thing, but we'll definitely get into that. You know, trade away your two best defensive players, and then you can't stop anybody. Okay, that's interesting.
Right.
Anyway, I'm Spitz. He's John. Obviously, he had his MRI, no torn ACL, so he's good.
No, it just seemed like everybody was getting him. Like it was like almost like like a rite of passage, like doing the 6-7 thing or something.
Here we go. Oh my goodness.
New trend.
My
the new
son
trend
with
torn ACLs, that kind of thing. So no torn ACL on for me either. And you almost know when it's torn ACL, Rich. I think off track, but when it's a non-contact injury and they have that looks like they stepped in a hole kind of thing, you just know that something's wrong, especially they grab the front of that knee.
Yeah, Micah Parsons is who we're talking about. Patrick Mahomes kind of hit a little late, but they didn't call it. But wasn't anything vicious. He just took a bad step. Anyway, We'll get into all that.
Yeah.
941 Sports Zone with Spitz and John Massoni, brought to you by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. Locally owned and nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses throughout the Gulf Coast. Give them a call, 941-251-4257, 941-251-4257. Well, this was the week Pitbull Stadium was going to get high usage, and all the championship games in classifications 1A through 7A took place this past week. The first team to hit the field was the Cardinal Mooney Cougars as they took on the Bowl School of Jacksonville. And John, listen, the 40-0 game at Cocoa should have been kind of a little bit of a clue.
Right.
This team was on a mission. They didn't even give Bulls a chance to breathe. They had a huge lead at the half and just cruised to victory, 52-28. Coach Clark and the gang bring home the second state title in 3 years. Congratulations to the Cougars of Cardinal Mooney.
They had more dudes than anybody could cover or do whatever the situation. 2 quarterbacks. Okay, let's start with that. 2 quarterbacks that you didn't see a difference when either one took the field. And that's hard to say at the high school level. In that case, running back who's a 1,000-yard rusher, guys, 4 or 5 guys who catch the football and make plays after the fact. The defensive line that was as good as anyone I've watched this year. I was hoping to play see the game against Miami Northwestern and Venice early in the year that got rained out because their D line for Northwestern was supposed to be stout, and of course Venice's D line was a very stout D line as well. But no, I mean tip of the cap. Very happy that we've got another football state championship here in the 941 area code, Sarasota County to be specific. And Coach Clark, congratulations to him on putting together a program now that should see themselves as perennial winners. This is, again, you talk about breaking these glass ceilings. We talked about Port Charlotte with their win to get to the state semifinals and putting on a great show in the semifinal game that they moved up the ladder. Cardinal Mooney now has an expectation of being there as well. So that's another one as well. Venice as well is in that category, looking to be, expecting to be there. And I can tell you that when you start to expect to be there, it starts to get a little different culturally. And this is all cultural kind of things in and amongst any program, baseball, football, basketball, whatever it may be. Once the expectation is you're supposed to win, it's hard for the next group to not figure out the same way. That they a little bit more belief, which means a lot in high school sports, starts to creep in. I'll use the Venice volleyball 25 straight district championships. It's not like, oh, we're gonna hope we win the district. It's like when we win it, there's no doubt. That's ingrained in them. So Yeah, he's the Cardinal Mooney Cougars football team is moving in that direction of maintaining a presence in the state championship rankings.
And I thought, John, their schedule was a good one because they challenged themselves, but they didn't overextend themselves. They played we talked about this several times. They played St. Thomas Aquinas, who ended up winning, and we'll talk about their state championship. They played Aquinas in the kickoff classic and hung with them toe to toe. They played the team from Cherry Creek, Colorado, who I think won their state championship as well.
I'm sure they did. They do it a lot.
3-point game. Tremendous. You could do a lot of self-scouting when you lose, and you talked about it. There's not usually many good losses, but when you can self-scout yourself, that's a positive. And then usually you have a game that challenges you in the playoffs. They just 5 blowouts basically.
No challenge whatsoever. And you're right. I think sometimes one thing that's changing a little bit now with the new classifications that came out. I think that the smaller districts that came with an 8-tiered ranking or classification, squeezing one down away from it, you may see more like 5-team districts like you did in the past. So having to go out and search and find games won't be as big of a problem. It's going to be now those other 6 games or whatever it turns out to be that you got to schedule. You can give yourself a variety of national power type teams, and then keeping the local rivalries healthy as well, and get yourself challenged even without having to go to major extremes to get those challenges taken care of.
And again, when you're in the 941, you don't have to go very far. I mean, there's plenty of really good teams around here, and they played them all, and they beat them all. And congratulations again to Coach Clark and Cardinal Mooney.
Yeah, no matter how big your whatever level you're at,
right.
If you're 2A or 3A, if you wanted to put your schedule together, obviously it requires 2 to tango with this. But all you need to go, and if you want to challenge stuff, is take on Cardinal Mooney, Booker, Manatee, Venice, Riverview. I can start going through all the different teams and different situations. Palmetto, Parish Community, all playoff teams, and you can put together a pretty healthy schedule right now because there doesn't look like any of them are slowing down in their progress.
John, I wanted to ask him. We were going to have Coach John Peacock, and he had something come up last minute, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to him in the weeks to come.
Oh, we will.
Yes, and he has promised to be.
He enjoys it. Yeah,
he's promised to be a little more. What's the word I want to use? A little looser, I guess.
Yeah, I would say that when you do whatever other media you do, your name is attached to it. Sometimes you tend to be a little bit more reserved in your commentary. And I'm not saying it's going to be anything earth-shattering, but John has some good opinions in there, and he has a very interesting way of projecting that. So we'll definitely get some of his opinions on a lot of different things. Although I will tell you this, I don't talk golf with him anymore because he doesn't seem too interested. So he got tired of golf one time, and I said, all right, I won't bring up golf unless it's an absolute top of the line story we need to discuss.
All right. So Lake Mary, of course, eliminated Venice last week. Very close game there. A couple of plays that could have went either way. So Lake Mary plays Vero Beach. Final game, by the way, at Pitbull Stadium. The final game, the 7A, Saturday night. Some weather involved. Vero Beach got off to a 21-3 start. Looked like it wasn't going to be much of a game, but Lake Mary hung in there, battled back, got it to 27-21 late in the game. There was I believe 5 seconds left, and they were in Vero Beach territory, but barely. And they completed the Hail Lake Mary, as they're calling it now. Yeah. And it was an unbelievable play because the ball didn't reach the end zone, and they had to actually do, I believe, a handoff to work. But boy, I'll tell you what, it looked beautiful. And Lake Mary gets the state championship that they wanted last year when they got beat by Venice. They win 28-27 over Vero Beach. John, you were on the sidelines. You're with Venice. Give me your thoughts. Is this, you feel good about it? Are you angry about it because that could have been you?
I'll be honest with
Give me the
you.
feelings.
I'll be honest with you. When it's all said and done, when you have an opportunity to get to a state championship or win a state championship, you can't have too many factors, if you want to call it that come into play. You've got to play clean football. You've got to make the plays, make the tackles, in order to get there. So they made plays. Okay. They made a lot of plays in the game against Venice. So if it turned out to be that a few factors came in that may have fallen on their side to in regards to some calls, there's always going to be that factor that you have to eliminate in some way or another, either by your play or just, overcoming it in some way or another. Right. So no, I wasn't looking at it, or I think any of us really looked at it and said, well, darn it, we weren't there. That could have been us. That would have been that kind of place. No, I think you look at it and say, hey, let's see how they perform next. You'd like to see the team that beats you. They don't have to win, but they have to perform that says, hey, that it wasn't an anomaly. They are a good football team. They did some things, and they've been there for 2 years in a row, state championship. There's something to be said about that. So Tip of the cap to them. Good for them. But the sequence of events that you laid out, that to let everybody know, we turned it off with 1:25 left because it was going to be kneel downs or some form of running the clock and then maybe a punt late with less time or whatever. But I've never seen a situation where a 21-3 lead became the conservative nature of what Vero Beach did. That's a game looking back and you'll say, it wasn't a performance thing. It wasn't an outside factor. We lost that game.
Right.
And again, it came down to there's some minor controversies coming out of that game that supposedly, and I guess it maybe was true, but it's high school football. There's no replay. That the receiver who caught the ball stepped out of bounds on the way down the field, and maybe that should have been a penalty. There was also it was iffy if you could say that was really a lateral or maybe just more of a sort of a hot potato handoff in some way, but were they actually behind each other in one way? But even with all that being the case, there should never have been a point in a time where you lost that game, going back to being 21-3, and even to make the decision. And I'm going to say that I would have made a decision. I'm not going to call any be right or wrong. I understand the weather's a factor, but to take a safety, give Lake Mary 2 points, you took away the opportunity. If you just punted the ball or it was a bad snap or whatever it was, the best Lake Mary could do was tie you.
Correct.
You give them 2. Now you bring losing into play. You brought it in. Nobody blocked the punt. You just said run backwards. Now we get a free kick, but you get a free kick from the 20. So now you're 20 yards further back. They're always going to get great field position. And the one thing that we in the game that being on the sidelines at Venice, we were concerned about, Rich, was number 4. He's 6'5". He's got great hands. I would not want Venice to get a lead late and have any time left on the clock for that kid to jump up and make a play. Because who else is going to jump? What other guy was 6'5" on the team that could do that? You know what I mean? So you gave them a platform or a way to win it, and guess what? They did.
They kicked the door in.
So that's that right there. Is to me seeing it again after the fact, but seeing it anyway and seeing how it was described, it was almost unfathomable that could happen in that situation, but it happened. Look, there was other conservative things done. Their quarterback, who was a very highly touted quarterback, was hurt in game 1. He came back for the state championship, and that 21-3 lead was built on him throwing the football. Mm-hmm. Again, mind you, I know the weather was a contributing factor, but then he wasn't playing a good portion of the rest of the game, maybe again, injury or whatever it may be. So many little things, decisions that are made in a context of a game like that. And Lake Mary, again, plugged along. Whatever Vero Beach did right or wrong, they gave Lake Mary that path. They took it and right down to the last second fought their way to a victory. So again, tip of the cap. They did what they had to do.
The 6A and 5A games were no contest. 6A West Boca Raton. Is that a team we played in the past at Venice? No. Okay. They drubbed West Broward 31-0 to win the 6A title. 5A title goes to, I know it's going to shock you, St. Thomas Aquinas.
What was
How many
it
in a row is
that? They played Lakeland. It's like
Right.
that's a yearly occurrence that they're there. Just to say this, I heard that Lakeland's attendance was terrible
Yes.
in that game. Maybe they knew something that we didn't.
Mhm.
You know, maybe sometimes fans are like, either you're spoiled or you don't think it's worth the drive to see what may be a foregone conclusion. I don't know, but it ended up being a foregone conclusion.
Yeah. 4A American Heritage, and there's some controversy. Do they have 5 losses? Did they have 6 losses? I saw both listed. The official game program said they had 5, but they rallied past Orlando Jones 33-28. Jones had a lead in that game, and American Heritage rallied. And there's another team with a great pedigree, and they've broken the ceiling before. It's 0-0 when you get into the playoffs. They actually had a losing record going into the playoffs and ended up coming out with the state championship.
They had the number 1 recruit in the country starting the season on their team. He got injured in the kickoff classic for that ESPN put on at St. Thomas Aquinas, and ended up begging out or pulling out of his senior season. And then the quarterback from Miami Northwestern went to American Heritage. So what do you know? He leaves a Northwestern and still wins the state championship up the road at American Heritage. So, Orlando Jones is another one of those teams that has figured it out. I think you're going to see them as perennial powers as well.
3A, Rains School of Jacksonville edged Miami Northwestern 23-22. John, you told me this is a rematch from last year where Northwestern ended up winning the game. So Rains gets revenge.
I think it was 31-0 even last year. So a big turnaround, and you can draw the comparison to Venice and Lake Mary. You know, it was a 52-19 victory in a state championship game. You lose in a state semifinal game next year. Seeing something once, and then getting there's a bigger improvement on a second game usually, because boy, they look and see what you did well, and they start trying to take pieces of that away. Maybe adjust their schedule, their game plan as well. So then Rains did a great job of figuring out what exactly Northwestern did well, and lo and behold, another nail biter last play of the game win too, by the way. So it was a heck of a game. They did it again what they had to do, but a very, very tight game that Rains pulled out at the very end.
Interesting. Wonder if Northwestern's quarterback doesn't transfer. Does Northwestern win again? I mean, they got to be thinking about that. No.
Well, a little bit of that, but the experience of the quarterback, but they replaced him with a 4-star sophomore quarterback, so he was all right.
Yeah,
they were okay.
He's got a couple more years. Yeah, they'll be okay.
Yeah,
no, we don't need to have a drive for them or anything. They'll be all right. Yeah.
They're good.
And then the 1A game was a little bit of a surprise to me, at least. Cardinal Newman beating Chaminade Hollywood 17-14. I remember when Chaminade came on the scene, and Venice actually gave them a game like their first or second year when they were just trying to get things together. Yeah. Now they're a perennial power. They were expected to win that game, at least from everything I read, going away. And Cardinal Newman shut them down.
The Cardinal Newman was in the lead. It was maybe not as close as the score indicated, 17-14. It was a very late touchdown by Chaminade. But Cardinal Newman, two schools that probably know each other pretty well. And that probably helped a little bit, having that understanding of what Chaminade is about and the players they have. So, but again, you never know. A situation like that, there's a lot of pressure in some of those situations where you're expected to win. I think sometimes that can cause issues. Sometimes some of these teams that go into these games play a little freer because they're not expected to win. You know what I mean? I know Chaminade, they started a freshman quarterback which is not something you see too often.
No.
And so, I mean, his first experience as well in championship games. And I don't know if I know Chaminade was very good, but they weren't as good as they were the last few years.
Okay.
So a little bit of that, maybe the inexperience. Cardinal Newman knows a little bit about them. Maybe not as good, that kind of thing. So, but either way, it is an upset, and congratulations to Cardinal Newman.
And there you have it. And there's another year in the books. As you mentioned, they did the reshuffling of the districts, and they eliminated 7A. So there's actually only going to be 6 state championships next year. It'll be interesting to see how everything lies as we, look into everything. And obviously there's going to be somebody who won this year who's going to have to face one of the teams that won in another classification, and it's going to make things that much more difficult.
It's just clogging up the works a little bit more.
Yep.
So there's no doubt about that. One other thing, Rich, I when Coach Peacock comes on here with us in a week or two or whatever, he gets back in, we can get him back in here. Talking about that top 8 teams in the state playing for a state championship, of a sort of a super championship, if you want to call that. So
right.
The top 8 teams in the Max Preps rankings, that may be something that comes up. I don't know when, where, how. It could just be something that's sort of been tabled and look at, because again, it can be pulled off. It doesn't require anything special. They could just say, we're going to do it. And that's what's going to happen. So we'll see if that does take place. If it does, boy, it makes things a lot more interesting and for a lot of different teams. We'll see how that all shakes out.
All right. We'll definitely keep an eye on that. So there you have it. High school football in the books for 2025. And you're, of course, watching and or listening to the 941 Sports Zone, and we certainly do appreciate it. Again, we're on YouTube, Facebook, X, and wherever you get your podcast, and it is brought to you by the good folks at Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, 941-251-4257. Again, 941-251-4257. Give them a call. All right, college football. And I kind of, after the show on last week on Monday, I was like, we didn't talk about the Heisman really.
No, you're right. And go ahead, Rich. I'll have.
No, go ahead, please.
I was going to say it's because there was it was a shuffling of players all year round. Now that's going to happen. I get that, especially when we start talking about Heisman odds in the week 1 kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if you looked at it, nobody really. There was a big push. I had my what's bugging me when Gus Johnson acted like a maniac when Mendoza beat Penn State. But I thought that was sort of ridiculous. Right. But otherwise, there's just been like, well, he's doing well, and he's doing well, and he's doing well. Nobody really sort of captured anybody's imagination as to what was going on. I think about Heisman Trophy winner. I think about when Tim Tebow was a Heisman Trophy winner. Or when Cam Newton was a Heisman Trophy winner, that kind of thing. Johnny Manziel, for the troubles that Johnny's had, that he's still a Heisman guy. His story isn't clean. He's not a clean bill of health kind of guy, but it's a great story. So where was the story? Okay, where was the story?
Well, I'll tell you where the story was, John. It was we had a quarterback from Indiana and a quarterback from Vanderbilt.
Right.
And then we had a running back from Notre Dame and a quarterback from Ohio State. And they finished 3-4. Fernando Mendoza wins it, the Indiana quarterback. Listen, they're 13-0. He had that game against Penn State, to me, was a signature. He made a couple of – his receivers made great catches, but he made a couple of tremendous throws late in that game. And, of course, Indiana finishing undefeated, beating Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. I know – I was sad to see this. Diego Pavia, after the ceremony on Saturday, posted a couple things on the internet that he apologized for on Sunday, thinking he was kind of robbed. But listen, either way, I don't think you could have went wrong. But Mendoza won it. His speech was unbelievable. It really was. It was from the heart. Interesting kid. I mean, listen, you're going to have a high draft pick. You want him as your quarterback, John?
No.
Okay. No. All right.
So here's why. And
Go ahead.
Here's my comparison. I said about these quarterbacks, and look, there was some, I heard something today that only 10 Heisman Trophy winners are Hall of Famers.
Yep.
Okay. There's a reason why in a lot of cases, because Heisman Trophy winners, it is very much a team award more than people want to give it credit for. Okay. So with that being the case, I feel like Mendoza is this year's Gino Torretta.
Wow.
Okay. Gino Torretta, great team, right? Went to the national championship. Okay. I would call it a pretty talented Miami team, but nothing again, but that's who he is. He's Gino Torretta. And I'm again, Gino Torretta is a great guy. I'm sure he's a great person. He well deserved the award, but it doesn't translate that how his game is going to translate to anything that's more than a pedestrian, a starter who maybe gets a couple of years more in as a backup. But that's what I see with him. I don't see where he is going to be a dynamic player.
Right.
I'll use an example of a guy who I don't like as a player, which is Josh Allen again. But Josh Allen is a high ceilinged athlete who is willing to take risks. And Mendoza to me looks like a guy who's playing at his top level right now.
Okay.
He's peaking. Okay.
That's fair.
And there's a lot to that. And so you look at it and say, okay, so this is where he's at. Do I think it translates into a pro? Look, there's a lot more guys who are a lot smarter than I am when it comes to scouting, but they're not. I guess what's what I'm looking for? They're not. They will find ways to make the penny look shinier. Okay. Oh, he's got a Heisman. He did this. Look at this. Look, they're looking for everything that's they can make it so they can say, here's the number one pick. And don't think that that's not being generated by the school that he's at, right. The agent that's going to hire him, or is his agent now for NIL deals. It's a marketing push. How could you not want to take the best quarterback in all of college football? Because the best college football player doesn't always make the best pro football player.
Bingo.
I just mentioned Tim Tebow and Johnny Manziel. Okay. Mm-hmm. Did they make it in the pros?
No.
But Tim had a little run with the Broncos, if you want to say whatever that was, a splash kind of situation. A lot of guys can do that. A lot of guys can win games. I just do not see it. Look, I'll tell you the truth. I compared one Heisman Trophy to another. I'll compare Pavia to Baker Mayfield.
Except that Pavia is about 5 inches shorter.
Right, but flipping off the other team, Baker did, right? All that stuff. He had commercials with him and his wife. He was doing all the different stuff, and he had to reinvent himself. But he's still Baker.
Mm-hmm.
He's still Baker. He's still doing commercials. Mm-hmm. He's putting the pizza in the oven or whatever he's doing. The baby's baking now, right? It's his new.
He's just baking.
Uber Eats, right? He's still Baker. And it's reasons why Baker loses football games and does certain things, because Baker is Baker. He can't help himself.
Right.
Pavia the same way. But I look at it and say, no, I think Mendoza deserves it. I would have voted for Pavia myself. I thought he's a dynamic leader. I think it's might have been a tougher road for Vanderbilt, schedule wise. If you want to make comparisons to certain things. And Pavia has done it for 2 years. Mendoza as well, but maybe not as well as Pavia has done it. I know it's not a career award, but nonetheless, I think I get it. But I would not be. I'm not a Mendoza to play quarterback in the NFL.
All right. Would you agree of the four? I think Jeremiah Love's got the best shot to be a pretty good pro. I think he's a pretty good running back.
I think he is no doubt the only running back to be drafted in the first round. So if you want that guy, go get him. He's got the size, he's got the speed.
Yep.
But the thing that bothers me in pro football now, like even in college as well, guys only get 15 carries a game max in some cases. They get lost in certain games. These are the type of players like a guy like him who needs the ball.
Yeah.
Okay. Who needs the ball. You cannot explain to me one bit how the Baltimore Ravens are not trying to get every last bit out of Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I can't understand it. It makes no sense to me. But no, he's definitely the best guy of the group, I believe.
Although Sands only a freshman, so you're going to see a lot more of him. At Ohio State. Now, I thought he matured a lot throughout the year. I think he'll get to New York again, depending on how long he stays, because I think he's got limitations physically, to be truthfully honest with you. But sometimes those, you can remake a quarterback that has some physical tools. And I'm going to go back to the guy that you don't like, Josh Allen. I mean, a lot of people thought he had a slow delivery, and his mechanics were all out of whack.
Throwing it with his back foot up in the air and everything else, leaning heavily to the left. A lot of those things that are correctable as long as you want to be coached. And then that's what I do give him credit for. I think Monday through Saturday he's coachable.
Yeah.
I think Sunday he loses his mind, and I think there's something to that. Big win over the Patriots this week.
We'll talk about that coming up in the NFL.
But nonetheless, he's he's got that gunslinger's mentality, so you have to be careful with that. It's Brett Favre was a great quarterback, won Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that's the only thing. He's a Hall of Famer, and Josh Allen can be a Hall of Famer too. I just think when they're constantly saying about the winning side of it, I think there's reasons why they don't keep winning.
Okay. The college football playoff gets underway this week. A couple of things, and we'll get a little bit into the Army-Navy game, but I don't like the 2-week layoff. And for some teams, it's 3 weeks, because if you're not in the conference championship game, your last game was Thanksgiving weekend.
Right.
And I think the momentum kind of dies a little bit. And then these matchups are not sexy. I mean, Alabama and Oklahoma is an 8-9 matchup. It should be a close game, but to me, it seems like first team to 20 wins in a game like that. And maybe they don't even get to 20. That's the Friday night game on ABC. I guess we'll start there. The winner gets Indiana. Alabama, of course, did everything short of beating Oklahoma on the scoreboard. They outgained them. I believe they had almost 500 yards to Oklahoma's 203, and yet Oklahoma won the game. A lot of people say Alabama gave it away, but I don't think Alabama's played very, very well even after that. And, they got thumped in the SEC championship game. So they're not exactly coming in on a high. And Oklahoma, the only thing I could say positive is their quarterback gets a chance to heal up a little better, because I just don't think he's been the same even after he's come back.
No, but I don't think he was that guy to begin with. I think early in the year he was they didn't know what he was going to bring, and then he got caught a few people off guard with some numbers. And I know he got hurt. Don't be wrong. I think there was a big factor. I just don't think he's as good as everybody had made him out to be. You know what I mean? Like he was the savior. I don't think that was the case. But no, yes, Alabama injuries. They are a beat up football team. They had the cupcake before the Iron Bowl, the SEC championship game, plus whatever happened during the rest of the season. Now you got to face Oklahoma again. This time, it's going to be a tough battle. It's a toss-up game to me. I know Alabama's given 1.5, but I think it's a toss-up game.
Sure.
Neither way would surprise me, but I don't expect it to be a blowout. If it's a blowout, it's a blowout for Oklahoma, believe it or not.
Okay.
Because I've watched Alabama's offense. Ty Simpson was a big name for a couple of weeks for the Heisman, right?
Right.
And everybody started watching his play and watching him do everything, and just became sort of unenamored with him quickly. And he is an Alabama quarterback. Gonna get the job done. Very, very, very savvy mentally regarding to the game and everything else. But I think he has physical limitations, and I think Oklahoma's defense. I think Brent Venables' defense is a challenge for him. So I would lean towards Oklahoma for the win.
Really?
For those factors, yeah, especially at home. I think there's something to be said about at home. New place, new everything, and Alabama it's just tough. And you can't tell me that the Kalen DeBoer going to ... is not somehow in the room.
Although, listen, he's quelled those in the last week or so. He's basically said, "Listen, I'm not going anywhere."
Yeah, but I always say where there's smoke, there's fire.
Right.
Why does his name keep coming up when it comes to these things? There's got to be a reason why. You never heard Nick Saban's name up for any other job.
Well, no, because listen, he's an Alabama LSU guy. The thing why in the world, and we'll get into the Michigan thing. Trust me, we're going to go positive to negative.
Yeah,
but why in the world would Kalen DeBoer want to walk into that? I mean, that situation has a chance to be just as. I mean, Underwood's talking about transferring now. They lose him, and I think Michigan could be on a downward for a couple of years.
So right now, the head coach is Biff Poggi.
Yes.
Okay.
For the second time this year, by the way.
Right. Biff Poggi was St. Francis Academy's head coach. Very well thought of guy. Used to cut his sleeves off. Made his own, T-shirts up. Saw him at Venice High School. He's a wealthy guy, independently wealthy guy, and now he's the interim coach at Michigan. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's where you're at. You may have no athletic department by the time this investigation's all settled in. So no, I can't imagine that anybody at this point would be wanting to flock to Michigan to take that job. There's just way too many unknowns in the situation. And I don't know what Michigan man's going to swoop down from the heavens to fix it. I don't think there is one, but we'll see what happens with that. But the idea about DeBoer, though, just to kind of wrap that little bit up, is that I can't understand why the name keeps coming up. Okay. They're not for the James Madison job or not for any of those jobs, but for like significant jobs, his name keeps
Penn
popping
State,
up.
Michigan. Yeah.
So I always say, why would he go anywhere? It's Alabama. You don't know if his wife and kids are sitting there going, get us the hell out of this place. We don't want to be here. I don't want to be harassed anymore. I don't want any of that stuff. You came from Washington, and I'm not saying it's docile there, but I can't imagine that people are like sending hate mail to the coach, on a regular basis, or the kids get your dad doesn't know what he's doing. He lost to Florida State. Who knows how bad it got after that first loss to Florida State? Who knows? So someone out there has got the idea that there's potential for this. So we'll have to see if that is the case. But the Michigan job, no. If he takes that job, he really wants to get the hell out of Alabama.
Yeah, I guess. All right. The other playoff games, there's a triple header on Saturday, but the best game is the game that starts at noon, 11 a.m. College Station time. And there's a reason for that. The NFL has decided that this would be the great weekend to start our Saturday schedule.
Right.
And we got a pretty darn good game at 8:15 that we're going to discuss between the Bears and the Packers. But Miami, Texas A&M, 10-7 game. Texas A&M, this line's pretty much been vacillating between 3.5 and 4. Last I saw the day, 3.5. A&M, their last game on the field was the Texas game, so they are got to be chomping at the bit.
You'd think.
Miami, of course, didn't expect to be in, maybe they expected, but was unsure until about 12:30 on Selection Sunday. I know we've talked a lot about you're not a big Carson Beck guy. You and I are both waiting for the shoe to drop with A&M. Where do you go on this game?
If I'm going to just take a look back take a week away from the season and look at the game, the schedule and the games as a whole, I think that A&M is a 2 touchdown favorite. Okay. Wow. Because while they didn't play very well against Texas, this look kind of funny. I think if you did remember the old CBS pregame show for the NFL, and they'd have the little check marks. They get it at quarterback. They get it at this. They get it at this.
Yes.
I'm doing that check mark thing. Quarterback, A&M, check. Running back, A&M, check. Wide receivers, A&M, check. Okay? You're going to go down that whole list. The A&M should check almost every box, including a big check mark at coach. Okay? I think Elko is really good. However, it's Miami. However, they're going to try to slow things down. That they're going to play that game. If they play a game equal to their game against Notre Dame, I think that they can win the game. I don't think it's like a foregone conclusion. But if I'm just looking at it purely analytically and looking at that situation, it's A&M winning the game. Now, I'm not picking that game because I don't like the week off either. I don't know. I'm not, like I said, I wouldn't want to pick that game because while all those check marks on paper play out, there's still something that seems a little weird about A&M. I don't know what it is, but something seems a little off with them. But we'll see. If I was a betting man, I'd stay away from that game.
Okay. Well, I like A&M in that game. And by the way, I'll go on record. I like Alabama in the other game. So I like one home team, one road team. And then the games that are going to get lost on TNT, 3:30 on Saturday afternoon, a rematch of a game in the regular season that wasn't much of a game. Tulane and Ole Miss. Ole Miss is favored by 17.5. They are missing Lane Kiffin. I don't know how much. I think we're going to get a clue as to how much that really is going to matter coming up on Saturday. And, of course, Tulane got a little chip on their shoulder because a lot of people think they don't even belong in this game. Florida's new coach, he's still coaching at Tulane. Give me your thoughts on this game.
I think there's too many distractions for John Summerall. The Florida job, while you can say, I'm only going to be here for a little bit, it's like walking into when remember the end of Close Encounters when they walked onto the spaceship? It's okay. And his big smile, he ain't coming back. Right. It's going to be very tough for him to pull off a win with the distractions that he has as the head coach of the University of Florida against an Ole Miss team that I think is highly motivated. You got a guy off Lane Kiffin's staff who I promise you has been saying since the minute he's been in every chance he get, we can do it. We are good. It wasn't the coach. It was you. I will show you the way. The guy calling the plays is the same guy calling the plays. Charlie Weiss Jr. is going to be here. We're all in it to win it. We're all going to get it. The only guy not getting a ring is Lane Kiffin. We're getting our ring. So I don't and by the way, this is the game I'm going to pick. Ole Miss is going to win that game. I think Tulane will give them a shot. Maybe a little bit of a chance. But man, I think I saw Ole Miss up close and personal. And well, I grant you, I won't downplay Lane Kiffin that much, but I think the motivation is very, very, look into the camera and saying, see what you're missing. And I think that's the motivation.
And then the final game, 7:30 on TNT Saturday night. James Madison gets in because the ACC doesn't have a representative, or at least a conference champion that is worthy. And their assignment is to go to Oregon and beat the Ducks. That line has been going up since it first came out. It's now up to 21.5. I'm thinking it could be as high as 24 by kickoff. And I don't think it's high enough. I think Oregon is just going to absolutely destroy James Madison.
Here's what scares me going back to the betting side of things. So most college football games, it's a beauty contest, right? You're trying to move up the rankings.
Right.
You might stay in, keep Dante Moore in the game for 2 more series. Let him get a little bit of this. In a game like this, if it's 24-0 at halftime, Dante Moore comes out, gets 1 more touchdown, goes 31-0, and he leaves the game.
Yes.
Okay. So the high number
might back door. You're looking at the back door, aren't you, John?
I just got a feeling, and James Madison has something to prove. They're not going to stop playing. It's like every direct game you play against a directional school in the first 3 weeks of the season. You go out there, you lay a big number on there. Next thing you know, the second string or third string is in. There's a fumble. There's this. They score twice, and you really don't care because you're up by 30 as it is anyway, and there's not enough time to come back, and everybody's happy at the end, and everybody goes home and gets the party gifts. That's when I look at that game. So that one worries me a little bit because of a backdoor cover on that one. Or
the play to me is Oregon first half.
I think the line is 100%. That's a 100%er.
Yeah, it's usually half of what the line is, but I noticed that number's been going higher and higher. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 14. I don't think Oregon will have any
Oregon's style and Dan Lanning's defense in particular. They're not going to lose to a team that's of a lesser caliber. It's just not going to. They're not risky. They don't have to be perfect. They're going to go out there and it's going to be one of those ones that's going to be a 80-yard bubble screen, an interception for a touchdown, a sack fumble recovery. You're going to see a lot of that stuff, and I think it's going to be dominating, but I don't think James Madison is going to go and say, oh, forget about it. We're going to roll over and die to a 51-0 score or something like that. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But you're right. TNT's like, we got a game. I don't know if that's going to be on any TVs longer than 9:15.
Yeah, no question about it. One bowl game involving a local team, USF and Old Dominion at the Cure Bowl in Orlando. And get used to this. USF's quarterback has decided to become an assistant coach for the game, looking to his future.
Right.
We're talking to Byron Brown. So that line went from 6.5 to 3.5. New coach. I mean, Alex Golish is gone. He's already to Auburn. Brian Hartline's here, but he's still got,
Ohio State
duties at Ohio State. So it just kind of throws things up in the air. USF should kill them, but
they're not going to. They're not going to. Old Dominion, what had a decent record? Were they 8-3 or something like that? They weren't. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, USF. While I've been very happy, I'm touting their hire of Brian Hartline. This is an anomaly game. It's in the middle of like what's going on. So you can see people getting lost in the shuffle. You can see maybe not a motivated football team. So I wouldn't be surprised if USF lost. I would not be surprised.
Wow. Okay. And of course, it's at that very popular time, Wednesday at 5 p.m.
Yes.
I might get home just in time to watch kickoff.
Yeah, exactly. No doubt.
Yeah. The one other thing we got to talk about, we kind of brushed on it a little earlier, but what happened at Michigan? Holy smokes. Sharon Moore is facing some really hard time for what he did. Fortunately, nobody really got seriously hurt because there was a while there that a lot of people felt Sharon was suicidal. Also could have done something very serious to those involved. Boy, the spiral since Michigan won the national championship. I mean, everything is just kind of, and I'm listen, I'll tell you, out of showing everybody I am an Ohio State guy. I don't like this, but I mean, everything from the Connor Stallions thing, they cheated. Now you have this. I mean, it sounds like Ken Dillingham might be the guy, Arizona State coach. That's where they may have to end up. I just mentioned a little while ago, Bryce Underwood is seriously considering getting out of there. I'm sure Tom Brady's working on him as we speak. Former Michigan guy he is. That program is, Penn State's looking and going, well, we're at least better than that.
So, Rich, there's always hard to laying blame, in a scenario where it's a personal issue that's really sort of exasperated a lot of other things that gone along with it. But I'll ask you this question: where would you point a finger at and say this is where this whole thing started to unravel? Where would you say the unraveling began?
Harbaugh was still there. I think Harbaugh was still there. I think.
Yes.
I think Ward Manuel, their athletic director, I'm surprised he's still employed.
So
there was a talk that he had been fired, but I think that's been quelled. But I mean,
so
they used to use the term Michigan man.
Right.
What exactly is that now?
Right. So
Seriously.
here's the deal. So you said exactly what I was going to say. It all starts with Jim Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He came into town, and everything he did right off the bat was pushing the envelope in some way or another.
He got him the natty, though. He got him the natty.
No, listen, that's what it was. They couldn't stand, for as much as Ohio State couldn't stand Michigan, beating them every year under Ryan Day. Boy, they couldn't stand seeing Ohio State being as good as they got. Okay. Mm-hmm. Jim Harbaugh from day one. Well, I'm gonna have spring practice at the IMG Academy. Oh, okay, that's a new one. I can have it anywhere I want to. I can do whatever I want to do. Jim Harbaugh is sleeping in a tree fort with some kicker in California. Jim Harbaugh's doing that. Jim Harbaugh's doing that, right? Jim Harbaugh has got assistant coaches in disguise on the sidelines of the Central Michigan game. Okay, they're trying to steal signals. Okay, all this relates to Jim Harbaugh. Okay, the athletic department letting Jim Harbaugh do whatever the hell he wants to do, right? And so what happens? Ooh, wait a second, the fire's getting hot here. Oh, the Chargers need a quarterback. A coach. I'm out. And then everybody went, wait a second. And I use this term as I'm not trying to be specific, but the head guy in the head gangster left.
Yeah.
Now what do we do? Who's the Don? Who's the guy now? The main guy left. Oh, you know what? You know who the best foot soldier was? It was Sharon, right? He cried on TV for him. Against Penn State. He ran the ball, didn't throw the ball once in the second half. He's a Michigan man through and through. He's the next guy up. Is he? Because it didn't look like as much on the field, and now it definitely looks like it's really in bad shape. And you can't tell me that situation wasn't known of and tried to be covered up by the athletic department.
Yep.
You don't give somebody $99,000 a year from $58,000 a year because they overperformed. That doesn't happen. Okay. No. That was done as either a keep a quiet situation, or who knows what it was. But it is definitely so. Harbaugh came in. I talk about culture all the time, right? Here's the culture. Whatever it takes to win. Look the other way. He's the best guy at acting dumb of anybody I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. He acts like he doesn't know what's going on. He knows exactly what's going on.
Right.
He's no dummy. There's no doubt about it. But in college football, he came back. He likes pro football because he can get away with all that shit there. That's what's different about it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So look no further than Jim Harbaugh to say why Michigan is where they're at. You're right. Got him a natty. I know about getting a natty from a guy who can do the same thing. He got heartburn and he left. Okay. And so off we go. And listen, I've heard the story. He made himself sick. I get all that. And he was sick, but nonetheless left behind tatters. Mm-hmm. He left behind a lot of stuff that who knew how to get that back on track. It happens. And if you go that route, if that's the route you're going to take, you pay the price now for sure.
Absolutely. So Michigan and everything, just the whole timeline, the fact that this was known, and see, here's where the investigation is going to be. And I can't see as much as Ward Manuel has been there forever and is a Michigan guy. The fact that they covered this up until after signing day. I mean, it's just everything about this just smells.
It stinks. It's totally, it totally 100% stinks. By the way, just a little side note. This is what LSU does every 4 years.
Oh, really?
Well, look at the coaches they have.
That's true.
Look at the stand-up characters they've hired the last 3 times. Okay, you had Lane Kiffin, you've had Brian Kelly, and Ed Ogeron. Okay, do any of these guys come across as the pinnacle of what you're supposed to be as a college?
No.
There you go. That's a win at all cost mentality, right? Just get the next
Correct.
guy who's willing to break the rules with us. Just get next guys willing to do whatever it takes. They're good at covering up. They've fired ADs. They've paid off. They've been involved with the biggest payoffs of any coaches ever. In this situation. I mean, it's just that's, and again, I like LSU. I'm not an anti LSU guy. I actually root for them in most cases. I like the fan base, everything else, but they're doing it that way, and that's where they don't pretend to be anything but what they are, and that's
Right.
what they're doing.
I think that's the difference here, because Michigan has pretended that they were up here.
Holier than thou.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
They invented football, right? There's another case that they invented
exactly,
football. Yeah.
Exactly. Leather helmets. Yep. Gerald Ford. Anyway,
Exactly.
941 Sports Zone, presented by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, locally owned and nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses throughout the Gulf Coast. 941-251-4257, 941-251-4257.
One more thing, Rich, on the Michigan thing real quick.
Okay.
You said about how that is. When does the press conference happen? When some president or some board of trustee comes out and has he's decked out in all Michigan stuff and saying how about the integrity of the Michigan, when it comes out, I want to, because it's going to happen. That's their ace up the sleeve. Let's go back to how wonderful we are and how Michigan we are and everything else. I don't think it's going to fly in this case. There's way too many layers to it where it can't fly. The only way that they're going to get out of this is if everybody is swept out the door. They got to start over everywhere.
Yeah. I'm not sure that they're ready to do that.
No, they would have done it already if they were ready to do it. It's easy. Yeah. You're fired. We're a mess. We're sorry. We apologize to this young woman. Everything's great. You haven't heard anything.
No.
Nope. Oh, it's the police.
Crickets.
Whatever.
Crickets.
Right. Because they're trying to figure out how to paint, slap lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
And they can't do it. A Michigan pig.
Yes. There you go. Go blue.
Go blue.
All right. National Football League delivers like none other. I mean, start on the Thursday night game. Bucks desperately need a win. They're up 14 in the fourth quarter. They let Kirk Cousins do what Kirk Cousins does against them. Baker throws a pick. They can't run the clock out. Atlanta, 19 penalties. Let me phrase that properly. 19 accepted penalties. I think there was 24 all overall. 19 accepted penalties. And somehow the Bucks find a way to lose that game. Todd Bowles loses his mind, blames everybody but
himself.
Todd Bowles. And this, quite frankly, I thought this should have been the reaction after the Rams game. But the Rams game, they looked unprepared to play, and that would be directly on the head coach. This team at least looked somewhat ready to play. They had Evans back. They had Jalen McMillan back, which I think is going to be a bigger piece as we go down the road. I think he's all that in a bag of chips. I really do. But I mean, they had injuries. They were missing the lineman again, although Tristan Wirfs was back. Just an absolute disaster. And yesterday, Carolina says, "Hold my beer." They're up 17-7 on the Saints,
right?
Who they already lost to earlier in the year. By the way, the score was 17-7, and they let the quarterback, who's slow, but I believe it's Shuck is the way you say Tyler Shuck.
Yeah,
throw for 270 yards. They scored 10 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. I guess I didn't look into this game long enough, John, because this stat is about as damning as there is when it comes to Carolina Panthers football. They have now lost 12 consecutive games as a road favorite.
Right.
Not covered, lost. It's unbelievable. And so here we are, the Bucks, who Friday morning I was like, this thing's over. I don't even want to make the playoffs because we're just going to get embarrassed in the first round. And now it's Monday and I'm like, oh, all right, well, maybe. I mean, the two teams play twice in the next 3 weeks, including this Sunday in Carolina. Voila, the Bucks are actually favored on the road. But the folks in Vegas have some sense of humor or something. I don't know. But nonetheless, could be first one. It's probably going to be first 1 to 9, wouldn't you think?
So I'll tell you this: at the beginning of the year, and that looking at the team, the Buccaneers are way better than the Panthers.
Oh yes,
Bryce Young has played better.
Yes.
He's not great, but he's played better. They don't have guys other than the Dowdell or what is the running back.
Dowdell,
yep. He's overperformed after being a backup in Dallas, but he's a good player. Decent defense. Newer coach, if you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. He's been there for what, 2 or 3 years now?
2 years, former Bucks OC.
Yeah. So you got to think that the Bucks are better than the Panthers. Okay. I'm not surprised that the Panthers lost to the Saints. I won't be surprised if the Panthers lose all their last 3 games. Nothing would surprise me. Okay, from them based on their team. The real issue here is Tampa Bay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Tampa Bay shouldn't even have to be looking in their rearview mirror at the Panthers. They should be well ahead. They have let this happen to them, where now it comes down to these games. It shouldn't have been at this situation, okay? And I'll go right back to what I said before. Todd, okay? Mm-hmm. Todd moves like a tortoise when it comes to making a change or figuring out game changes, personnel changes, his aggravation. Why wasn't he mad after the Rad game? I don't know why. Who knows? He couldn't get up to be. So now when he gets upset, it looks contrived.
Yeah.
It doesn't look genuine. Now you're mad. Okay. This is what gets you mad. Look, Mike Evans was on the field for 1 game, right? He was the most upset guy I've seen.
Yeah, he was.
Right?
He was pissed.
Furious. Where was that from everybody else 3 weeks ago?
Where was it the other night?
Absolutely. The only guy getting mad is the guy who hasn't played.
Right.
And everybody's like, oh.
He's like, I worked my way back for this crap?
No kidding. It's just, and you look at it and you say, where is the kick in the ass for these guys? And by the way, I don't want Baker being the guy kicking people in the ass, because Baker will just keep kicking people in the ass. You know what I mean? He's not the guy, I think, who's mature enough to be the quote unquote only leader. Okay. There's got to be other guys in the room, and Baker can be part of that, but the real leader has to be the head coach. And I got to think something that, speaking of Todd, I think Todd Light, as a general manager, is looking around and might be thinking to himself, what are we doing here? Are we wasting this opportunity? Are we going to be Baker and with Abuka and McMillan, and we don't have Evans anymore? And, looks like, how much longer does Godwin have? Is Rashid White going to be on the team next year? I mean, he looks like he's, okay here and there. But the idea is that somebody's got to make a move and get this team to be motivated. And it's not going to be Todd Bowles. He will not. It's not going to happen. I just don't see it. Again, because he does. Some people, you have a presence. You know what I'm saying? Bill Parcells had a presence on the sideline.
Yes,
it was New Jersey in your face, calling out LT. He didn't matter if he didn't get. I'm the boss. This is what it is. There's something to that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I do not see it with Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles probably gets off the bus 18th. He's just a guy. He's just a guy sitting in the middle row somewhere. That's what the difference is. I don't know if you can change that personality. Doesn't make him a bad human being. It just doesn't make him a championship coach, right, from my opinion. He could be. He's got some pieces. But this year, it looks like it looked about 6 years ago with the Jets, or 8 years ago, however how long it's been. I watched this game. I watched this play out, where it was like, how do this defensive genius would allow the team to drive all the way down to the 8-yard line, then he blitzes on the 8-yard line. What are you doing? Where was the
Right.
blitz on the 50?
Yeah. 2-point
wait,
conversion, same thing. Yeah.
It's always after the fact. It's always late in the game. It's like slow on the uptake. I don't know what it is, but I don't get it. I just don't get it.
The best team in Florida, without question, is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They moved to 10-4. They torched your Jets yesterday, 48-20. Trevor Lawrence had a game that no other quarterback in the history of the league has had, and I'm shocked. 5 touchdown passes, over 300 yards passing, touchdown running, and over 50 yards rushing. Cost your defensive coordinator the job, which makes absolutely no sense to me. I saw that today, and I'm like, okay, so you're going to trade away the 2 best players on defense, and then you're expecting them to stop somebody like Jackson. I just, I know the Jets are making strides. I know Aaron Glenn is changing the culture, but that move there just makes me shake my head, John.
That's a New York Jets move, not an Aaron Glenn move.
Right.
Okay. That is, you need to save
Woody Johnson.
Maybe. The question probably was posed. Here's what probably happened. We're not keeping Steve Wilks after the season's over. So do you want to fire him now so you can save some face and limp in at 3-14? Or do you want to stick around with him and have people get more and more mad because you're making bad decisions with your coaches? What are we going to do here? Okay. So, here's another thing I don't understand. One thing and all the things I read is that was disturbing to me was that Aaron Glenn's the head coach, but we're running Steve Wilks' defense. Why the hell can't you run your defense, the one that was successful in Detroit? Why would you run her in Steve? Now, did Steve Wilks have a good year somewhere else? Sure, I'm sure he did. And you're giving your coaches a chance to win, okay? But it would be like Steve Spurrier going to coach the Washington Redskins after the Gators and saying, I'm going to let somebody else run the offense. I'm not going to run the offense. That's how you got here.
Well,
that's why you're here.
Now, Aaron Glenn, learned under Dan Campbell. And Campbell was all about, up until this year, he took over the offense midway through the season, but he let his coordinators coordinate, and he was just basically the CEO. So a little bit of a learning curve. It's Aaron Glenn's first year, and maybe this is him saying, all right, I'm going to start putting my stamp on things.
Was Aaron Glenn a DC before he went to Dan Campbell?
I don't think so.
Okay, so there's the difference. Steve Wilks, you remember that little restaurant I owned for a while, Rich? You were there,
yeah,
right?
I was there. Yeah, a couple times.
I was warned. Be careful hiring people who have a lot of experience because they're going to try to change your restaurant into the one that they liked working before the most.
Gotcha.
Okay, so Aaron Glenn owns the restaurant now. Okay, the cook can't change the recipe that got you here to be successful. You got to. You go get a young guy that you think highly of. He's going to grow with you. He's not going to move. He's not going to take a job in a year or whatever it may be. And you work the defense with him and trust the offensive side of the ball to do what they can do. There's something to it. I think that's what he needs to do. And maybe that'll be because then at that point, you're not going to get fired because somebody else, is not thinking the way you think or is not successful. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. The game of the day yesterday, at least to me, was the Broncos rallying past the Packers 34-26. And, of course, Green Bay got terrible news today. Micah Parsons, it's official, tore his ACL. He's done for the year. And, these ACLs that happen in December and January, there's no guarantee that they're going to start the season next year.
Next year, exactly. That's what I thought. Nowadays, though, it seems like if you're a healthy young man and you've done all the right things, that is a 9-month recovery. So that puts you where – so it takes you out of OTAs, puts you as a player, but is it going to lead to a great year? Does it take you 6 games to be good? That's the kind of thing you say that more than likely, while it's 9 months maybe to get back on the field, it's probably 12 months to get back up to speed.
Right, which puts him in the middle of next year. Now the Broncos have now won 11 in a row, and they're the 1 seed in the AFC. They were by tiebreaker, but they now have a full game lead over New England, who looked like gangbusters in the first half, 285 total yards, 24 points, 24-7 over the Bills. And Buffalo just in the second half completely flipped the script. I know he's not your guy, but I thought Josh Allen played extremely well in the second half. A couple of darts for touchdown passes and a touchdown run. And Buffalo basically saved their season. They are the division champs 5 years running, and they didn't want T-shirts and hats handed out in front of them, and they made it happen in the second half.
I was surprised watching most of that game yesterday that the way Mike Vrabel coached in the second half. I thought that they didn't get any flow going. They played like they had a lead and they were going to try to protect it. That at least it felt that way a little bit, and I can understand that as well.
I think they got conservative. I agree.
I didn't like it. I didn't like any part of it. You knew Buffalo was coming out with their season on the line. They could go crazy, and rightfully so. And Josh Allen did play very well in the second half. He did a great job. But I thought the Patriots really disappointed me. And that's hard for me to say. Like, what do I care, right? The stupid Patriots won 1,000 Super Bowls. Another one. But in that way, in that game, it looked like the Patriots sort of just they just kind of lost. Once you lose your momentum, it's kind of hard to get it back. Yeah.
I don't think there's any question about that. Let's see what else we're going through. Obviously, the Chiefs are done, and Patrick Mahomes is done. Another torn ACL. Apparently, he's getting a second opinion. To me, you have to get under the knife as quick as possible so you can start rehabbing.
I don't like that at all. You're right. What? Even if it's minor, it's a partial tear or whatever. Whatever you got to do to get back to get it right, because you know what's going to happen. It's going to be a full tear. You're going to turn it into a 3-year project as opposed to 9 months. Go do what you got to do. They're doing the right thing. If, you can't be. I'm sure you're not afraid of having surgery. And nowadays, I would be more concerned if it said Achilles, a foot fracture, microfracture,
the Les Frank. Yeah, I'm with you.
PCL, something like that. That always worries me more than torn ACL. Torn ACLs are like sprained ankles. They're just like that's I'm being coy. I mean, I'm trying to be, whatever, but it's fixable. Go fix it.
Right. And you've got a finite amount of time before the season starts. Now, in Parsons and Mahomes' case here, the calendar is their friend because the NFL is actually going to start a week later because Labor Day is as late as it can be.
Right.
So they get an extra week or so, which don't laugh, but that could be a difference.
Absolutely.
Down the stretch. So
yeah, no doubt.
By the way, Green Bay's loss coupled with the Bears destroying the Browns 31-3. Can we stop talking about Shedeur Sanders now? He had 3 picks. Bears make him look silly, and the Bears are back in first place in the NFC North, although their remaining schedule
real hard,
kind of brutal. They start the Saturday night game with the Packers, and they end with the Lions. They give the Lions a chance because if Chicago loses one of the next 2 games, then that final game, if the Lions beat the Bears, they would probably beat out the Bears.
Right. Well, like I said, whatever the Bears do for the rest of the season with a new head coach, and there's no way they could be disappointed. I mean, if you don't make the playoffs or something like that, but what a turnaround! I mean, they're the story of the year so far. The Bears, they've beaten good teams. They've beaten the teams they should beaten well. I mean, Cleveland's not good. They made them look bad.
It's what you're supposed to do.
What you're supposed to do, right? So I totally believe that. So I just think that the Bears, even though the record might be better than other teams, they are just not ready for some of the teams they were going to face in the playoffs. I don't think that's the case. We'll see. I
was sold for the Philly game when they went in and kicked the crap out of Philadelphia and did it physically and ran the ball for over 250 yards. That to me was like, hello, the Bears have arrived.
Right. I totally agree. So yeah, I'm very impressed with the Bears.
The Bears.
And I'm very impressed with the Rams. I think the Rams are very,
that's
very
where I was going next. They were down double digits in that game against the Lions, in a game the Lions had to have. And they lose Devontae Adams to boot, who he might be done till the playoffs. That hammy did not look good. it looked like for a minute they were going to lose Puka Nacua too, but he came back into the game. But Matthew Stafford, and listen, I have not been a Matthew Stafford fan, and I got a chance, when the Super Bowl was in, real quick story, Super Bowl was in Tampa, again, the Super Bowl 43, Pittsburgh and Arizona. He was the number one pick, and he was on Radio Row, and we got a chance to interview him. And I mean, he's a great kid, but I always thought that there was something missing there. He is getting better with age.
Yes.
He played yesterday. They fell behind 10 points. No panic. Dotting the ball all over the field, mixing in the. I tell you what, first of all, he's got a great coach. Sean McVay is a great coach.
Yes.
Might be the best coach in the game right now.
Right.
But he is taking his game to the next level. And I am excited for this Thursday night game coming up. Rams at Seahawks. Winner's likely going to be the 1 seed, and the loser is likely going to win a trip to Tampa or Carolina.
I'm going to go back to what you said about McVay. McVay, when you watching this rebuild, what it was, and you lost Aaron Donald to retirement. Cooper Kupp is gone. I can name off more than that have been replaced.
Right.
It's one of the best in the current framework of how the NFL does drafting and everything else they do. It's the best rebuild I've ever seen.
And they gave away and let me stop you. They gave away all their picks after the Super Bowl. They had 4 picks the next year,
right.
And they hit on 2 of them, including Nacua, in the 5th round. I mean, hello.
Right. He's got something, and I'm telling you, it's nothing. If I'm looking at it and seeing the players that he's getting, okay, he's getting productive football players.
Yeah.
Okay. He drafts high in the right positions. Getting Matthew Stafford, okay, as his quarterback. To me, remember what you were saying to me? Well, when are we drafting a quarterback for the Jets? I don't want to draft another quarterback. Just go get one. When you want the one you want, go get it. Here's my quarterback. Here's this. Here's this. Here's this. I got this guy. I'm good. You start from there, and it all spreads out from there, okay? Yep. He gets productive college offensive linemen. He gets whatever it may be. He's got 2 running backs that Corum is looking better every week. I thought he was great at Michigan. I thought he was great at high school. I saw him in high school. I thought he was great. Verse on the defensive line, the other Florida State kid on the defensive line, all productive guys of 12-0 football teams. He's not finding, and I grant you this. I'm not trying to downplay but he's not taking chances on guys.
Right.
He's getting solid guys. Who's the best player on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
That's a good question.
Wirfs. I think Wirfs is the best player.
Yeah.
When Tampa got him, he was a solid Big Ten guy. They said he's athletic. He can play both positions, right or left tackle, everything else. He wasn't, man, if he's good, if he can figure out how to step left and right and do this, he'll be an all-pro. No, he was a great, solid college football player. McVay gets guys who produce, okay? And that's what he does. And they produce, and they find a role, and they do what they need to do. They sprinkle in a guy here and here. Devontae Adams could be what OBJ was for a little bit, right? They know they figure it all out. They don't win every time. I don't get that, but they get good quick.
And they were the only team that gave Philadelphia a game in the playoffs last year, in the snow, no less.
Right, and in the context of a football game, they know how to make adjustments. They're not just personnel people or building product people. They are football coaches first and foremost, and they do a good job with it. This is no different than this success. Look at Belichick. His success was similar to this. How many number 1 draft picks did he take as quarterback? The answer is 0.
0, right.
He got Tom Brady in the 6th round, famously, right? And so they figure this stuff out. They move guys in and out. There's something to it, man. Yeah, and how other coaches don't see it, or other whatever. Why would you not look at the gold standard and say, maybe we should do what they're doing? No, heck, I got a whole new idea, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like I said, I'm looking forward to that game, which almost wasn't as good a game as it was going to be in a battle of two teams with the same record because Seattle struggled with old man Rivers.
Great story.
Well, it's
Great
an unbelievable story. His kids watching the game in Alabama, his high school football team, he throws a tutty and they go berserk.
Absolutely.
He actually engineers a drive that gets them the lead late, and his idiot kicker kicks the ball out of bounds.
I know.
Gets the ball on the 40. All Sam Darnold has to do is complete a couple of passes, and then it's a 56-yard field goal. He still had a chance at the end, but the Colts have really just they've lost 4 in a row, and they're done. They're done. But Seattle gets the win. Boy, it looked for a long time like they were going to lose that game.
It's a great story if he wins, but it's still a great story nonetheless because he shouldn't even that shouldn't have been a game.
Yeah.
Plucking a guy off his couch after he coached a high school football season is no matter who he is. But they must have known something because Rivers probably said, if you ever need me, just like Teddy Bridgewater, I can, give me a call. I throw a lot in practice to the receivers. Who knows?
Yeah. Excellent. By the way, the Rams open up a 1.5 favorite at Seattle for that game on Thursday night. Ravens shut out the Bengals. This team, the Ravens defense, was heading towards giving up 600 points, and somehow they shut out Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Now, I know T. Higgins didn't play, but come on, they have plenty of other weapons.
Cincinnati, that game is all Cincinnati. They don't show up sometimes, whatever it may be. And I don't think it's Joe Burrow's fault. I think there's other factors in that whole situation.
Although he's saying he's not having fun. Yeah. He had to walk it back, but could he be your quarterback of the future?
Listen, if how many draft picks? Cincinnati would be the perfect team to do that with because Cincinnati is absolutely that team to do it. Oh, well, you get Joe. We want a number one in each the next 2 years, and you keep the rest of the stuff and whatever it may be, and we'll give you Justin Fields, whatever that would. Who knows? But I'm telling you, it would not. But you say that if I'm the Jets GM, I'm thinking of these things.
Right.
Guy's not happy. What's going on with him? What about this? And personality wise, I think Joe Burrow might be able to handle the New York media pretty well.
You think? You think?
I think he's got that little, a little swag to him.
Yeah.
Go.
The Monday night game, which will happen as we record here in a little over 2 hours. Steelers try to stay even with the Ravens, hosting the red hot Dolphins all of a sudden in Pittsburgh. It's going to be anything but red hot temperatures in the teens. But that didn't seem to bother New England, or I should say Miami last week when they went up to the Meadowlands and throttled the Jets.
Yeah.
The Dolphins still have an outside chance, but boy, they got everything breaking the wrong way on Sunday. Texans winning, everybody in front of them basically won. So
do you feel like the Dolphins though are like they're like a very delicate sort of like little China like glass egg or something?
Yeah.
They're just it's all gonna all of a sudden it's just gonna break and that's it, and everybody's gonna get fired and they're done.
Well, I don't know. If they win tonight and they go to 7-7, I think people are saving their jobs. But if you're a Dolphins fan, that's not what you want. That's not what you want.
No, you don't want that. That's bad news.
Yeah. All right. I think Philadelphia just clinched the NFC East. I know they need to get one more win. Just saw something on the crawl that Jaden Daniels is shut down for the rest of the year.
Yeah, there's no reason for him to play. He's
right.
For him to go out there for a couple of games, it's crazy.
Yeah. So Philly started as a 6-point favorite. That's likely to go up. Although Mariota's a capable quarterback. They get to play the Commanders 2 of the next 3 games. We can bury the Cowboys, by the way.
Yeah, they're done.
I watched the open of that game, and Tirico turns to Collinsworth and goes, "You really think the Cowboys have a chance to run the table?" And he goes, "Yes, I do." And I just was like, okay, well, I'm going to turn the sound down for the rest because apparently he's been drinking before the game. Anyway,
the Cowboys are just going to do what they're going to, and they're not built right.
8-1, baby. 8-1.
And they made a big deal about getting Quinnen Williams, and I get it. He's a good football player, but it's not going to change the Cowboys. That was nothing about that move changed anything for the Cowboys. Nothing.
Yeah. The Saturday games, both on Fox, thought that was kind of interesting. Philly and Washington at 5, and then the Green Bay Chicago game at 8:20. That should be a doozy. I like the Bears in that game. I really do. I think, I think they'll play a more complete game. They were no show in the first half against Green Bay a couple of weeks ago. I think that changes myself.
I can tell you this, and we saw it yesterday. The Micah Parsons injury had a real effect on that football team. A real effect on that football team. So I don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes if you're grieving, so to speak, you want to play harder, and sometimes you don't have the will to do it. That was the piece of the puzzle that was going to take them to the top of the heap, and now all of a sudden it's gone. Yeah, and you see how it goes. So interested to see how they come out of this. I don't think it'll be well. I think they'll be playoff team, but I don't think they're not going to thrive with this happening.
All right, some of the big games on Sunday. Buffalo, it's big for Buffalo anyway. At Cleveland, got to go and take care of business. They're favored by 10. Chargers at Dallas. Despite Dallas being eliminated, the Cowboys are still a 1.5 favorite. I already put money down on that game all over the Chargers. Jacksonville and Denver is a very interesting game. Currently, the 1 seed versus the 3 seed. There's a history there. Remember Jacksonville when they made their first playoff run, they went to Denver and beat the Broncos.
Yeah.
It's only a 3-point spread. I think that's very interesting. Pittsburgh at Detroit, the Lions have to win out to have any chance to make the playoffs. I mean, when we started the year, did you think it was, the Chiefs are going to be out? It's very possible the Ravens are out and the Lions are out. I mean, there's a real possibility that all 3 of those happen.
The only one that there was a very chic pick to not make the playoffs was the Lions. They thought there was going to be a definite drop off with the losing of the two assistant coaches. Mm-hmm. And so I think that there was some form of that, but no, the Ravens are surprising. I thought they'd be a much better team in a weak division, by the way. And that for sure. And who was the third team you just said? I'm drew a blank again.
Detroit,
Kansas
City, of course.
Kansas City. Yeah. Yeah. But Kansas City looked off from the beginning of the year a little bit. I think I used this analogy before, but the Lightning won 2 Stanley Cups back to back, right? The third one, they made it a certain way and then they didn't win.
Right. Well, they went into the final.
It's the Chiefs. This is where the Chiefs are. It just takes a toll. You're playing a whole season more's worth of games in 4 years, and it's a lot on your body. I'm not surprised there's injuries. I'm not sold on their receiving core either. He makes guys better, but these guys are brittle. They don't look tough. They need a running back that can count on. There's just a little bit of stuff. This is a great time to do some tweaking, and we'll have to see if that happens.
Christmas Day, can't wait. Denver at Kansas City. Matter of fact, most of the Christmas Day games have kind of gone by the wayside with injuries and things that have happened. Sunday night game, flexed in New England at Baltimore. I think it's a very good matchup. The Ravens are actually a 2.5-point favorite in that game. And the Monday night game next week is San Francisco at Indy. Locks of the week, John. Both us struggled. I had the Panthers, not realizing that they can't win as a road favorite ever.
Right.
And you had the Patriots against the Bills, and you looked great for a long time. And then
I'm like, that was a genius move on my part until I got Josh Allen.
Yeah. So I'm now 7-5. You're 6-6. I kind of referenced it earlier, John. I'm going to take Oregon. I could go Oregon first half, but people would be like, that's just cherry picking. So I'll lay the 21.5 and take the Ducks against James Madison. I have a funny feeling in front of about 17 fans, at least on TV, with the Green Bay Chicago game up against it. By the time that game kicks 50 minutes after the other game, I think it'll be over.
TNT is gonna go right to AEW wrestling as fast.
Yeah, there you go.
They're gonna preempt the second half. Me, I'm going lock of the week. I'm going Ole Miss, given 17.5.
Yeah, so we're both on the.
I just like I like the fact that Ole Miss is got something. They got something stuck in their craw. They're healthy. I think the play calling will be just the same as it was with Lane Kiffin. I think the defense is going to be, fired up that their guy's the new head coach, and I don't think they're going to take any mercy on a Tulane team. That's not they're going to go for it. So I am taking Ole Miss minus 17.5.
All right, final segment of the show. What's bugging me? And do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Oh, you go first this time.
No, you want me to go first. All right. What's bugging me is I kind of referenced it earlier. What is taking Michigan so long to clean house?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that program is a cesspool, and I'm being kind right now. And it's kind of taken away from the Michigan basketball team, which is currently number 2 in the country. Oh, by the way, coached by Dusty May, who used to coach FAU. They had a home run with that hire,
right?
And with a lot of other hires, but they just need a ground rule double right now. Ken Dillingham seems to be the guy at Arizona State. He's kind of slow playing it, but they just gotta take a broom and just Ward Manuel's got to go. They just need to clean house and start all over again. And the fact that they're not is alarming. If I was a Michigan fan, I'd be pretty pissed right about now. Yes, you got your big shiny natty in 23. Hey, how long is that going to actually last? How long is before the luster completely comes off and the program when a program is like this, it eventually is going to get to the other good teams in the program, at least in my opinion.
Culturally, you can't allow certain things to happen in one place and not the other place.
Right.
Okay. Now, it doesn't mean that you go ask permission to go break a rule as the baseball coach or the basketball coach. But what you do go is say, well, if he can do it, why can I do it? So when they come, I'll do it and not ask permission. Then when they say something, I'll just say, don't talk to me about it. What's going on over in that office over there? So that's what happens. And it's supposed to permeate the whole place. It's poison after a while. So I think you're 100% true. They've got to do something quickly. It's going to hurt for a while. It's going to hurt for a good while. You're going to see if I think Underwood will definitely leave a quarterback. And I think that they're going to see way more than that. I think there's no reason to stay especially this, because Do-Re Mi, right? Like we didn't even mention it today, but DJ Lagway for the Gators out the door, right?
Oh, okay.
He's gone.
I missed that.
He's a portal guy. Yeah. Oh, well, I might work. My what's bugging me is going to be a few things. So let's finish yours real quick. But yes, he'll go because there's going to be money offered. He'll go someplace else and he'll be happy.
Okay. No, that's it. I'm done. I don't need to say anything else. So
the
floor is yours, Mr. Masoni.
This is kind of a personal little thing. One of my good buddies and I, we talk about stuff all the time. What bugs us, and we see it all the time. And this has nothing to do with sports whatsoever. So just go along with me, because I saw something interesting today. Is the well-dressed, well-fed homeless people at Target who are begging for money. Okay. And I'm not saying that I'm not laughing at anybody who has a bad situation. I get it. But it's hard for me to want to pull over, and help out somebody who, in today's case, when I say this, I promise you, there's no exaggeration whatsoever. A 400-pound homeless man, okay, drinking a Panera Bread $7 iced tea with a sign saying, "Can you help me?" I don't know what to think at that point. I don't know whether to roll my window down and be mad, which is very sort of pompous to think that way, or to think that somehow or another that this actually works in some way, that this industry that has become, they can stick anybody out there and they're going to get him a certain amount of money, and the guy who picks him up and takes him back home again gets the cut on it. And it's to be that brazen about it and to say things is incredible to me. So that's just my own little It's the holidays. They're all out and about. So it just kind of got my juices flowing a little bit.
I would roll down the window and say, can you help yourself?
Right. There's something to that. How did you get here?
Right.
I mean, how did you get here? I have a million questions, but I don't know how far, what it would do or it would take me unless they would just tell me to, give me the Bronx cheer or one of those things, and I'd be out the door. But just, it's amazing that it thrives, that actually works. There's people doing it. They wouldn't be doing it if they weren't being successful at it. It wasn't
correct.
Getting there.
I agree with that. Wholeheartedly.
No doubt. What's bugging me is a little bit, it's as far as sports is concerned, has a lot to do with some of the things that we look at, like the Heisman Trophy. This is where I was headed with it. The Heisman Trophy has become an afterthought. It's not much must-watch TV. Mm-hmm. It's becoming it's the sample size, if you want to call it that, shows that these guys are more than likely not going to be successful, the winners at least, at the next level. Mm-hmm. And we anoint them as these great players, and I don't know if they really are. I think that they are. I think it's a team award, like I said earlier. I think that it is something that gets more run than it's worth these days. I don't think the story is it's become very analytical. You're on a winning team. You had this many yards. You did this. You did this. You did this. When I think sometimes it can be more about what you did with what you had. In some cases, it's become ESPNized. Mm. It's just it's a TV show. Is what it is. And it's so it bugs me that this award that has all this credibility and all this panache around it really in no means anything at all anymore. It doesn't have that same flair to it. Pavia doing what he did, I thought was irresponsible and immature to do what he did. Right. But in some ways, he's like, what were you looking at? I can you saw that guy play, and I get it, but what about what I did? And I was the darling of the United States of America for how many years? And Mendoza was just like, oh, he played a great game on Fox the other day. There wasn't any of that same sort of pump, that same sort of build to it. So it's become a little bit of that. And unfortunately, I just think it bugs me that I don't care. It bugs me that it's an afterthought. And I'll be honest with you, if it was DJ Lagway in 2 years from now, I probably wouldn't care as much as well. It just doesn't have the same feel to it, whatever that may be. By the way, DJ Lagway did go in the portal today. Mm-hmm. And by the way, what bugged me about that is he gave the same stock and same goodbye letter that everybody else in the country does. By the way, it's great I'll always be a Gator, and as I know, give me the opportunity to show myself, and I bleed orange and blue, blah 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 blah. But I'm going to go to LSU.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Wherever. Right.
So it's like, does it really bother you? So why don't you just say, hey, you know what? I was loyal to Billy Napier. He didn't coach me very well for 2 years. I'm not going to get a fair shake from a new guy. I don't want to be competing for anything because that's not the deal I cut. So I'm going to go to Texas Tech or LSU, where I'm going to be guaranteed the spot I can get, and I'm going to play one more year. Hopefully I'm great, and I can go in based on my numbers that I put, or my measurables from high school. That's what's going to happen. So that's that as well. So, okay. And by the way, I don't want him around anyway. Because to me, it just the whole thing, since it got rolled out, I think he was overrated from the beginning. He's got a great arm. He spun it. I was super excited, but man, his mechanics, all that, this does not look good. It's not good at all. So there you go. Yeah. A potpourri of what's
bugging you here as we get towards the holidays. Just as we record this, just 10 days before the big man comes into our lives. We're going to kind of expand this out now that high school football is done. College football will be into the playoff. And the NFL's got only 3 weeks left. So we're going to start expanding out a little bit. I'm just going to throw a couple of nuggets out there. I kind of mentioned it in college basketball. Arizona's the number 1 team in the country. Michigan's number 2. Duke is right up there as well. Florida has gotten off to kind of a rough start. Florida State's got major issues, at least from the local standpoint. USF, UCF, everybody's kind of mid when it comes to basketball in the state of Florida. Hockey, the Lightning have played extremely well. We're getting
7-game winning streak for a while there. Yep.
Right at the top of the division, despite all the injuries. Vasilevsky hasn't played. I almost called him Van Beesbrook. Oh my God. Vasilevsky hasn't played for several games now. Yeah. Hasn't played for several games. They had a couple of other guys rotate off. Kucherov was out for a little bit, and yet they still are maintaining, although they can't beat the Islanders on the island. So, I mean, that's.
So I'll just say one thing about the Lightning, and I hope they don't do what the Rays did with Joe Madden. John Cooper is maybe the best coach in the NHL.
Yeah, not maybe. It's not maybe. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah. And you watch him do what he does. He has a very Canadian, even-tempered manner about himself. But but on the bench, he's not that guy all the time. That guy needs to retire a Lightning coach.
Yes, I agree.
No, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. He is that guy. And by the way, Rich, we're talking about the different nuggets. One thing, the thing about it is football just sucks the air out of the room.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter what you can listen to another podcast or radio shows or things on satellite radio, whatever it may be. It sucks the air out of the room. Yes, it's hard to avoid it. And we're in a state that's crazy about high school football. We're in an area that has had an enormous amount of success in regards to the last few years in particular. So it's hard to pass on those stories because it's whatever, it's on everybody's mind. And it's unfortunate that we don't get to really talk as much about volleyball and stuff like that in this time of the year. But so you're right. There's so many more things to talk about. And what happens is everybody has more exposure at this time of the year. All of a sudden now it is, hey, look, guess what? There is a primetime basketball game on a Saturday,
right.
Not every football game in college football. And the same thing on Sunday. It eats up every bit of space on the sports calendar. I'm sure if we were sitting in Great Britain right now, we'd be talking about Premier League, right?
Yes.
It would be all about Premier League. Maybe we're not talking about rugby or we're not talking about other sports. We're talking just or golf, whatever it may be. So there you go.
Yeah, the golf season's about to start again.
And
you get to the other side of the. Although only one event in Hawaii.
Yes.
Only one event in Hawaii this year, which I think is kind of interesting.
Well, they're trying to formulate something that goes along with what the Live Tour did. You know what I mean? You don't have to spend all this time going to play two golf tournaments in Hawaii. You can go do this.
Right.
And of course, there was also a problem with the one golf course that had no rain in Honolulu or in Maui.
That was another big thing.
Yeah.
NBA usually starts their season on Christmas, but they've got this NBA Cup thing, and Wemby and San Antonio beat Oklahoma City, which is news because Oklahoma City tied the record 24. Their first 25 games were dubs.
Yep.
And Wemby came back, and they're going to play your Knicks, New York Knicks,
Spurs and Knicks for the NBA Cup. I was like, that's interesting. So. We'll see. I mean, if the Knicks won anything, they might throw them a ticker tape parade.
Well, they hang a banner like the Lakers did.
They have to. They haven't hung a banner in how long? They have to hang a banner.
73.
And if the NBA is really truly all about this NBA Cup, they got to give them a banner, right? They got to do something with that. So, a championship within a championship. We'll see how that plays out.
By the way, you got to have Prime Video to watch it. It is on Prime.
I do have that, by the way, so I'm fortunate.
If you're an NFL fan, you got to have Prime because, again, you got 15 games a year on Prime. So
of course, and then people tell me just get Prime and get all the free deliveries. So there's a lot of positives to that.
Yeah, that's the one my wife works on. All right, that'll do it for this edition of the 941 Sports Zone. Again, we'll be back with another show next Monday. I think we're going to have a guest that we're kind of working on two.
We have a few ones we might be able to land. Yes.
Yeah. So, and they have some championship pedigree, both of them. So
should be interesting. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it should be very interesting. We'll be that much closer to The NFL games are getting more important by the second. College football, the first round of the playoffs will be done, and then all the teams that got byes are going to play in major bowl games. We'll have some good matchups there, and we'll have that and a whole lot more to talk about next week.
No doubt.
The 941 Sports Zone. Again, Facebook, artist formerly known as Twitter, now X, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcast, we're going to be there. So for John, so glad your ACL's not torn, Masoni. I'm Spitz. Till next week.
See
So
ya.
long, everybody.